Earth that was.
Post-apocalyptic narration. Post-elliptication?
The central planets formed the Alliance, ruled by an interplanetary parliament. We're just trying to show them how.
Jump scares, what every space western thrives on.
Yeah, purple guys, keep purpling.
So the glass is bulletproof, but not gun-banging proof? What's the point of that?
Stop. Backtrack. Stop.
Man, this movie gets away with 3 separate openings prior to the main title, including 2 false opening reveals. That's ballsy.
Do you know what your sin is, Doctor?
If he doesn't, I'll be happy to point it out for him. Also, a tip from a professional, he's got more than one. This paralyzing rabbit punch pinch is some bull, but it ends up being super important in at least 2 scenes of the movie. It's like the Vulcan nerve pinch, only stupider and dumber and more idiotic. The ship is named Serenity and blah blah blah, but if the show is called Firefly, then why wasn't the movie titled Firefly? You're just adding unnecessary confusion to the mix of what is already a hard sell to a mainstream audience. This would be like calling the Mission Impossible movies IMF, or calling Star Trek movies Enterprise. Also, papyrus font. Use the same font James Cameron used for Avatar subtitles, and 50% of small businesses started after the year 2000 used in their logos and on their websites. If the shakes are this bad, some of this food should be flying off the table. Also, that's a lot of food being left out that no one is eating. They don't need to worry about the ship exploding. They should have all died from salmonella poisoning already, if this is how they treat their food storage. It's fun to have them speak Chinese every now and then, and I know because I watch the show that Chinese is the main language out here in the verse, but still, give a guy some subtitles maybe. These moments really only work for the Mandarin-speaking browncoats in the viewing audience. This is all one shot! Man, this looked pretty rad in 2005 on the big screen. Bummer. Also, considering the last 5 minutes have been intermittent with talk of how the ship might crash, the decision to yada yada over how they fixed that problem seems a bit on the sinful side.
We'll be back where you can spit. Well, not that you spit.
Firefly had many great running storylines, but the Kaylee Simon will they or won't they subplot was not one of them. It's unfortunate they decided to carry that into the movie. This psychic nonsense goes on for some time.
What's going on?
Serenity is a really good movie and a great transition from the TV to the big screen. However, it does commit the cardinal sin of trying to cram every damn thing from the show into the movie, whether it makes sense for it to be there or not. The Reavers insertion into this film feels about as organic as a Big Mac, and they try and tie them into the story later, but that too.
See him? Zoe, take the wheel. Anybody see him?
How did they not see them? We just saw them all land in the middle of town, so this area should be swarming with them. Killing a guy twice in 10 seconds. This Reaver ship goes from right on their ass to a ways behind, then back again.
It sure would be nice if we had some grenades, don't you think?
Maybe, but it's more out of character that he didn't defy Mal and bring them anyways. It's as if he knew he would have the chance to make the joke later if he left them on the ship. Why are they wasting bullets? There's zero chance they can take the Reaver ship down with a pistol. They've got Jane by the leg here, but they don't do anything else for a long time, giving Mal time to save Jane.
River?
I swallowed a bug.
This movie is funny, and I'm taking a sin off for the funny. I mean, the show is this funny too, but most of you slept on that. Where did the Reaver even come from? There was clearly no one in the part of the Reaver ship that crashed.
Son of a hole! I'm a hair's breadth from riddling you with holes, Doctor.
F*** this unnecessary conflict.
Mule won't run with 5.
That seems dubious. You had all kinds of guns and extra ammo and boxes of stolen money. And yeah, she says they could have dumped the money, and he disagrees, but my point is that thing could have held another person and the money, and did in fact hold all that while the dude was hanging off the side of it.
I got a crew. Ain't been paid, and oh yeah, powerful need to eat sometime this month.
Then maybe don't waste the insane feast that was shown earlier.
These Reavers, last 10 years, they show up like the bogeyman from stories.
Bogeyman. So she says a silent goodbye here, and then the crew goes to give the stolen goods to the boss that hired them. Then they will get their cut, and then they can give River her cut. But they apparently just took some off the top for River and said goodbye to the Tams, and that just doesn't seem like how it would work. Whatever. The Tams aren't going anywhere anyway, and we all know it, but I'm still miffed at the sloppy explanation of events here.
River, do you want to stay with them?
It isn't safe.
No, but it does seem more practical than just wandering around hoping to find someone else who won't turn you over to the Alliance for whatever bounty is on your head. Topless dancers.
If I truly wanted someone bad enough, wouldn't be a thing in the verse could stop me from going to her.
Tell that to Honora.
Okay, first of all, I know the movie tried to sneak a little Honora stuff in there with him watching the video about her, but man, this line has no punch if you never watch the show. Second of all, Mao is too smart to set himself up to be owned this hard, and he would never make this brag. The biggest single sin in the whole movie is that River wanders into the very bar where Mal went to do business, and all that huge f***ing port we saw, and she wandered in without Simon. Would Simon leave her alone on the streets? And before you tell me that she's psychic and I know that already, but she just said it's too dangerous for the crew if she remains around them, so she would not wander willingly into the same bar they were in, goddammit. This is more convenient than that time I wanted granola and Matthew McConaughey showed up at my house unexpectedly. Where the f*** have you been, jackass? Yeah, I mentioned that in the last sin, but it's worth mentioning again. Also, how did River even get a hold of a gun on the floor if everyone had to deposit their weapons in the lockers upstairs? Also, can I just say casting someone named Summer as the character named River is a pain in the ass to work around as an asshole on the internet. Keep saying Summer when I mean River, and since I'm an asshole, I'm going to sin that
You guys always bring me the very best violence.
He's Mr. Universe though, right? Guy tapping all the signals? Why did they even have to bring this to him? Why didn't he find it on his own? Look, cinematically, this wall of screens is awesome, but from a practical standpoint, for someone that tracks all signals, this is f***ed up and impractical as hell. Look at all the different angles these TVs are turned to, and at least half are playing things already playing on another screen on the wall. This wall of screens is a lie.
To my love bot. It was a very beautiful ceremony.
Movie has time for this. Also, love bots.
I've been seeing this code pop up all over the last few weeks. It's Alliance, and it's high military.
Mr. Exposition. Ah, Sudden Shepherd.
Wasn't born a shepherd, man. You have to tell me about that sometime.
Maybe in the sequel. Sequel.
River, you look tired. I think everybody's a little tired by now. Why don't we all lie down?
What happens if the student bucks? We all we all take a nap.
Oh, I guess we're having something of a...
Eavesdropping. I realize this is some kind of religious situation, but all those candles and all those curtains, this religion worships house fires.
We locked onto Serenity's pulse beacon the moment you hit Atmo.
Did he really just say Atmo instead of atmosphere? Because that's Obno.
Advice from an old tracker. You want to find someone? Use your eyes.
Or your nose, though, right? And ears. If you only use your eyes, you aren't tracking, son. You're just play-acting some childhood Rambo games.
No offense, Doc. I think it's noble as a grape the way you look to River.
Noble as a grape? Show is mostly Western speak with a bit of a twist, but noble as a grape? Why not? I think it's honorable as a pigeon. Or honest as a rock. There's fun dialogue, and then there's absolute gibberish.
Mal.
This is as good a place as any to point out that the main character in this movie is named Mal, which in half the languages on Earth means some form of bad or evil.
Wish like hell he was elsewhere.
I was.
Damn, this is like the third time this movie has had someone storm off and then the remaining character finishes their thought quietly to themselves. It's a Joss Whedon staple. I think the dreams are the best part of this movie. Serenity would now like to pause its programming to advertise the soon-to-be-released Serenity trading cards. Collect them all, trade with your friends, everyone live in Serenity together. I guess that's not cool, but if anyone deserved the throat punch on this ship, it's probably Simon. Almost want to give a sin back, but I'm me, so. Man, that is a yada yada and a half to go from opening the shaft opening to arriving in the main hallway. Jesus. Remember John McClane? Half the tension is being inside the tiny crawl space with him.
How can it be there's a whole planet called Miranda and none of us know that?
Kaylee would be Gorram amazing at CinemaSins.
Shepard?
And of course, Shepard is still clinging on to life here so he can get some last words in with Mal, because movie.
I killed the ship that killed us. Not very Christian of me.
In 2020, that actually might be considered the Christian thing to do.
I look to be bored by many more sermons before you slip.
This is a death that means a lot more if you watch the show. Otherwise, you're just like, bummer, dude, but you're not emotionally affected.
I don't murder children.
I do.
Just broadcast this on all channels, man, and be done with it. Video evidence matters.
If your quarry goes to ground, leave no ground to go to.
But how could the Alliance know every place Mal's crew is hidden in the past? And if they do, those are terrible hiding places and they should have been captured by the Alliance a long time ago.
I believe in something greater than myself. A world without sin.
Come on into my living room, evil dude who hates sin. Let me make you some tea. Do you like finger sandwiches? Can I give you a hand job? The entire crew raises objections to Mal's plan, and he pulls a gun, and they all go quiet. When people reminisce on Serenity, they never seem to talk about the plot point where Kaylee has to skin her former friends' bodies and attach them to the ship so they can travel safely through Reaver space because it's f***ed up. Why are the Reavers even in this goddamn movie? The heroes of Firefly, Serenity, basically ripped off The Walking Dead when it comes to clothe yourself like your undead enemy to get through the ranks of your undead enemy. The comic, but then The Walking Dead show came along and ripped off Serenity's ripoff. Ripception? So none of the Reaver ships wonder why Serenity is going to the planet? Because it doesn't appear any of the other ships are going to the planet. Seems like that would raise some sort of a red flag, no matter how much red paint and skeletons adorn the outer hull. This is the first time in this movie they've considered a planet might not have breathable air, so of course, it has breathable air. Also, main character takes off helmet without enough data only to find out the air is breathable cliché. They are finding corpses and empty buildings and a mystery, but can we just take a minute and acknowledge that Frank Lloyd Wright would have had a field day designing buildings out here in the verse?
Machine be and Shirto. Please, God, make me a stone.
Because many people in their hyper-anxiety-filled states often speak a foreign language and then immediately translate it in English.
The ship's banged up all to hell.
And it has been here for, we find out shortly, 12 years. So how is the power still working?
These are just a few of the images we've recorded.
It looks like the Sarah Paulson recording was queued up to the exact part of the story they all needed to know. How was nice of all the people to set up for future visitors. You know, right before they died horrible deaths.
It's the Pax.
You misspelled pox.
The G23 Paxilon hydrochloride that we added to the air processor.
You didn't misspell pox.
The people here stopped fighting, and then they stopped everything else. They stopped going to work.
They did? And what was up with that office filled with corpses at their desks?
Reavers. They made them.
Reavers don't kill people. Unhealthy drugs, mass-produced and pushed into the atmosphere, make Reavers that kill people. Also, Soylent Green is people! Once more with feeling, I do not need to see characters throw up on screen.
Parliament buried it. It stayed buried until River dug it up.
So this whole mission is based on the idea that River psychically pulled a secret from a Parliament member that went to view the research project she was part of. Wouldn't the Parliament member have to be thinking about the exact thing for her to grab it? And if not, how many other things would have been buried with it? For her to be able to pull out this one nugget of info and then be able to bring it to enough of a rational state for Mal and crew to figure it out seems pretty improbable.
Somebody has to speak for these people.
Mal goes all George Clooney at the end of Three Kings, and it's kind of cute.
So now I'm asking more of you than I have before.
More than the part where he asked for them to help him skin people and attach their skeletal remains to the ship, because that seemed like a f***ing lot.
Bastard's not even changing course.
So why haven't you shot Serenity down yet?
Target the Reavers. Target the Reavers.
This is a great moment in this movie, but how was Serenity able to stay ahead of all these Reaver ships for the amount of time it took for them to get to Mr. Universe? The operative takes a shuttle to the surface, and regardless of how big that planet, moon, whatever is, there is no way he ends up close enough to our heroes to f*** up their plans. And yet he does. No one passes out from this shit. They all survive this.
Watch out.
Oh, I mean... Also, I know this is a Joss Whedon thing. He likes to kill the characters we've grown to love. Miss Summers, Cordelia, Agent Coulson, Shepard from earlier in this movie. But that doesn't make it any less shitty or sinful. Did anyone else forget Inara was still with them? Just me? Carry on.
No.
Sigh. Guy, he should definitely be dead, somehow survives long enough, or does computer tricks with his sex robot enough to give our hero pertinent information cliche. God damn it.
They destroyed my equipment, but I have a backup unit.
Of convenience.
Spent so much time on Serenity ignoring anything that I wanted for myself.
Movie has time for this, which it doesn't, and neither do Kaylee or Simon. The Reavers in this climax feel so much like the vampires in the best episodes of Buffy, or the Chitauri in the Avengers. My point is, maybe Whedon does his best work when the heroes are facing a rabid horde of mindless kill-eat drones. That's great, Mr. Universe has backup equipment, but why would he make it so goddamn difficult to get to? This looks more complex than a Bond villain's lair.
There are a lot of innocent people in the air being killed right now.
Said the guy who earlier said he had no issue killing innocent children. Inara turning into a sudden Legolas here at the end is one of the movie's funniest jokes. This chain-based final boss battle is confusing as mostly because I have no idea where any of these chains truly connect to.
They're gonna get in.
No lady, why aren't they already in? So if River could do this the whole time, then why the wasn't she already? For the second time in this movie, Mal will last a lot longer against this guy in a fight than he should.
I'm sorry.
Here's this scientifically questionable one-punch paralyzing move showing up again. If this were possible, my brother and I would have paralyzed each other every other week when we were growing up.
You should know there's no shame in this.
This is such a great moment, but if the nerve cluster was severed, as Mal will say in a bit, then how would he have felt this or even known what the operative was trying to do? Did Mal just grab the blade of the sword with his bare hands? Because I think Mal just grabbed the blade of the sword with his bare hands.
I'm going to show you a world without sin.
This is a great gesture, but would it really change anything? You'd have just as many skeptics as you would believers. And if the Alliance is that all-encompassing, they could just as easily concoct something to dispute all this. Also, where exactly is this even broadcasting? And if anyone is not around a screen to see it, how do they find out about it? I'm not saying Mal shouldn't have done what he did, but I am questioning if when all is said and done, he even changed anything. I'd say it's 50-50 at best.
Stand down. Stand down. It's finished.
What? In the future, gravestones will have holographic videos of you or you and your spouse's awkward home movies, because the future is a f***ing hellscape. Glad we found out whether or not Kaylee and Simon got to bone, because that was crucial. Aw, yeah.
Your Broadway about Miranda has weakened their regime, but they are not gone, and they are not forgiving.
Wait, did they really think a sequel was happening?
Storm's getting worse.
We'll pass through it soon enough.
Ugh, can we call a moratorium on the super obvious Storm dialogue that's supposed to be symbolic or whatever? God, it's so stupid. I did a supercut of all the times in a movie where someone says, "Storm's coming," or "Storm's getting worse." That would be a long-ass video.
Serenity now! Serenity now!
Make sure you click that bell icon.
Sellouts.
But clicking the little bell icon is how you make sure you get notified every time we release a video. So click it.
Sellouts.
We got the primary buffer panel coming.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain!
He didn't lie down.
I'm sensing a powerful mind. Doors open, beds made. Welcome home.
Owen! Andrew!
Mine should have hit us. Should have hit me.
Be sure next mealtime to ask for your cupcake in a cup.
What is this thing? I mean, it serves no useful purpose for there to be a bunch of choppy, crushy things in the middle of a hallway.
You've always taken care of me.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.